And spawning over in the bottom left, it is Trigger. Yeah, I'm super excited about seeing him now. You know, like there's moments where you like players, like you like their personalities and stuff, and you think they're good, and then you take a little break, and then you come back, and then you hear all these amazing things. It's just like, whoa, okay, now I'm super hyped up to see this. And this is the first game of the season starting right here, and NA's the kind of scene as well where it's pretty damn open. Like the difference between finishing last and fourth place, like that level between there in that region, it doesn't feel like it has to be that much, but by the sounds of it, these are two players that absolutely are vying for those slots, those top end slots in the top 6.
Absolutely. And one thing we got to point out here is things get going in earnest, and this is not a PvP, so may matter a little bit less, but Nina's not playing in this tournament, unfortunately, but she and Trigger are really good friends. So when I was prepping for Katowice, and I was like, okay, look, talk to me about Protoss a little bit, I got to call Nina, and immediately she said, look, I want to add Trigger onto this. I think he's got a better understanding of how the game works. So not only now has Trigger, he's rounded out his play mechanically, we have pro players saying, look, no, Trigger needs to be in this call if we're talking about how the race works, because he thinks about it just that well. Which, if you're looking at a player, and it's certainly looking at a player like Future, who's maybe not as confident, not playing quite as much, well, having that mental flexibility there from Trigger to figure out what's happening is a nice thing. For example, to figure out that there is going to be a factory proxied here on the map, Ben.
Yeah, this is so wild. Like, this is the kind of thing that I like seeing from Future, where he'll just do something his way. Like, I kind of remember him doing some eBay block against Scarlet to the first hatchery, which is so out there. Like, no Terran did it, but he did it a few games, and I was like, that's kind of cool, actually. And I mean, this is definitely the kind of thing that can throw you off guard if you're Trigger. Because I mean, Trigger obviously fairly new on the scene over the last couple of years or so, and going up against somebody that throws something like this at you, yeah, it just makes you feel very uncomfortable, especially first game in the series.
Absolutely. And Trigger, he's opened up Twilight here, which is not horrible. It's a standard Protoss opener. But if you're dealing with Hellion drops, which this might be, we don't see a starport going down just yet. And Ben, there's a second barracks. I know Future as this aggressive player, but there's a second barracks on the way. He's proxied a factory. What does he do with this?
I think this is going to be kind of an old school build that the first time I saw it was from Euthermal, but he's going his own way about it. Like, so Euthermal, what he did was make like 4 Marines, then switch over to a factory, and then did this like 6 Marine Hellion push kind of thing. But Future's doing this in a very kooky kind of way. In fact, I have no idea. I mean, does he get Combat Shield first to make this a really weird timing? I mean, these Hellions show up very unexpectedly here.
But it's also only 2 Hellions, so it's really not going to kill that many probes. I mean, good lineup there. 2 workers go down, make it 3. But it really shouldn't get too much more than that. That being said, 5. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
6. One more shot. Okay. Ben, that shouldn't have happened.
I love that it's one of those things where it's like, this ain't going to do that much, right? And it's like, mate, it's 2 Hellions. Those Stalkers weren't shooting a lot of them. This poor Widowmine, by the way, could have got away with burrowing somewhere, but already, yeah, this has done a lot of damage. Future on the other side of things, he's got those 2 barracks up and running, getting a 3rd one, going for an engineering bay as well, getting the 3rd and 4th gas now. I mean, he's going to have in fact, okay. 2nd and 3rd gas, my mistake, doesn't have one in the main here. He's now a little bit scared of, oh, is it DTs? Like, so he has no idea what's going on behind this, but I don't hate it because he's already dealt so much damage. Might as well just be a little bit safe with it.
So to figure, that factory was literally to proxy 2 Hellions and a Widowmine. 2 Hellions, of course, they 2-shot were 2 Hellions. They take 2 volleys to kill probes. So we don't tend to see it get that much done, but excellent ring around the rosy there. It meant Future got a lot. And with this 3 racks play behind it, he's just, I guess, well, he's really just channeling a different version of Bjorn. He's going to have that really powerful timing. In fact, Stim's going to be done in the next 30 seconds. And Trigger has gone for a 3-base play. He's going to have a Robo on the way. He's got 2-gate blink, all that. But Ben, I'm a little worried that this push from Future is going to happen before Trigger is truly ready.
I think you're absolutely right. It definitely lines up a bit weird. Like, if I look where the factory is, it's in the back of the natural, and he's got the starport in the main. Okay, so he's just going to get a reactor on both of those jobbies, which definitely lines up weirdly, and maybe this is one of the weaknesses of the factory build, that you're not going to have medevacs out for a while. But yeah, Blink's done, so Trigger can start to be annoying, and without medevacs for Future, this is just very frustrating to be caught this close to your base, and you can't really do much chasing.
Trigger Stalkers are about one Stalker short of what they want. We see so many low Marines, but no actually dead Marines until right now. But here we go. Future running forward. He's trying desperately to not spend that stim, because, I mean, that is, what, 20% of your HP right there that you're not getting back for a good while. Trigger's doing an excellent job here of just forcing Future to lose units and lose units and lose units, and it's buying him so much time. Charge is now on the way. First Colossus just about done. And this army from Future is scary. He's up 20-odd army supply. That's a lot of bio. But if you get one Colossus out, certainly if you get two Colossus out without any sort of anti-Colossus tech, well, you add some force fields there, Ben, and that's a good recipe for a lot of dead Marines.
Yeah, Future's kind of just... It's kind of like his units, his army right now, didn't need to be where they are. And, I mean, he could have just stimmed a couple of Marauders. Like, not the whole army, just a couple, just to kind of fend Trigger off, or being stood at ramps and stuff, just to make sure these Stalkers aren't doing what they're doing here, because this is just annoying damage being done. Oh, does finally get a Stalker, which is nice, but everything that Trigger's done so far has just been, it's been good. It's been value.
Despite the damage that Trigger's taken earlier, resources lost now coming in favor of our Protoss hero. He's killed like 10 Marines, which really is not something that you see all that often. We have a second Colossus here on the field. Extended Thermal Lance. It is pretty damn close to finishing up. Ben, I cannot help but feel this was a scary push from Future. Absolutely, don't get me wrong, but the supply lead's not really there. The tech is absolutely there for Trigger. It really does feel like Future's missed his timing, and feels like he knows that well. He's kind of backing up here, but now it's Trigger blinks on forward, trying to make something happen. Force fields are going to be nice for now. Extended Thermal Lance now finishes up, so Trigger's army is really powerful. But nice Widowmine shot on the observers there, but there's just not enough tear, and Stalkers blink forward. Medevacs go down. This army is dead. Trigger, Future should have just run home.
A Future should have run home there for sure. It was just, what a sad situation for Future. Like, he had a lot of promise with the opening, but then it felt like the follow-up afterwards, nothing really lined up. Like, the factory kind of floated to its place. The starport had to build its own reactor, meaning medevacs were super damn late as well. Now, yeah, he's on 5 barracks. 3rd CC is made, but it's not on location. It felt like there was a lot of thought into the very initial opening, but not how you follow up with it. And Trigger, he's just... If his train was derailed at the start, he is more than back on track here, because his army is looking better, it's looking fresher. His economic situation looking really good too.
Is there such a thing as a train rerailer? I mean, you hear about trains getting derailed, but
hey, don't you start with this as well. This is all Rotterdam last time I brought up the train. He was all about messing me up and stuff. But anyhow, Future is going to try and get some damage done with this medevac drop here, which is sneaking into the natural. Does look like Trigger did spot it. I saw his camera go in the correct spot here. So yeah, very quick to react. And wow, look at all that. Look at all that production for Trigger. Dark Shrine, Double Forge, second Robo as well.
He's a rich boy, and certainly that fact that push from Future didn't work out at all has bought Trigger really all the time in the world. And yeah, we talked about Future kind of missed this time. You get all this great opener, but where did he go from there? We need to talk about how good of a hold that was for Trigger. Eventually, the actual fight was rather deterministic. There were just too many Colossus, and force fields were good. But Trigger bought himself about a solid 2 minutes with that Stalker play in a game where if Future moves across the map when Stim is done, absolutely that is a much scarier opening. But Trigger bought just enough time that it really did not work out. But Future, he has the next level of tech. Here we have extended, or we have Ghost upgrades there for enhanced EMPs, and he's got his 3rd base. But what I'm worried about is we don't have, I mean, I guess we have 6 Vikings, but that feels like it's a little low when we're looking at 3 Colossus. Yeah,
the magic number really is kind of timesing the Colossus count by 3, and that's how many Vikings you want. So it's not too far under, especially if he lands some juicy MPs, that could be good. It's just going to be tough, because Trigger right now, he doesn't have to be out here. He is out here, which, Future's probably like, oh, holy minute, why are you out here? And he is going to chase him down, but Trigger, he's doing it quite nicely, because here he can do some force fields and save that disruptor if he does it, but he's actually kind of baiting Future in by the looks of it.
That he is. EMPs are going to blanket this army. Big shot on the left side, but the big deal, of course, is he fights the army without the Vikings. Future had them far off, and these Colossus, they're not going down. You got to be careful there. One Widow Mine. Okay, for just a second, it looked like Trigger was about to eat 4 Widow Mines to the face, and that's a great way to lose a fight, Ben.
It certainly is, and Trigger, he's about to catch up on upgrades here with 1-1 finishing. Future, he's not really slowing down though. Armory just finished up, as is his 4th base. He is going to make one of those as well, but look at Trigger's army, man. This is not going down. He's focusing down to the Vikings as well. Colossus fallen. GG Trigger. That was pretty convincing, man. He had a bit of a rough start in that game. You know, I even saw his head tilt on the webcam there, losing that last shot there, all those probes, but he got right back into it. He wasn't phased at all, and that was very nicely done by him.
That it was. And as you said, that was a game where Trigger was down. It was not an easy start. You really should almost never lose 9 probes to 2 random Hellions. It was a weird timing, sure. Again, that was a game he was behind. Imagine now we have a game where Trigger doesn't take that damage in the early game. How one-sided does that become? And I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'm just letting my Trigger fandom cloud my judgment. But, well, I don't know. It's a cloudy day outside. Consider me clouded.
If you are a Trigger fan, you're going to be pretty happy after that game, though, because that felt like stuff went wrong for him, but then all the fundamentals went super right, which that's when you're like, oh, okay. Like, I think he's going to take the series, and your 2-0 bet's looking pretty good after that game 1, it's got to be said. But yeah, you can never count Future out. Like, there was a few moments there as well. You know when he scanned on top of the fight and then the observer got blown up by Widowmine on top of his army, and it's like, oh no, it goes from bad to worse kind of thing. But it felt like Trigger at no point felt really scared that game. Like the fact that he was so brazen about those stalkers, picking off like a good 11 Marines before they did anything. I think Future, given that he didn't have medevacs, either needed to go, just stem a few Marauders and like bully his opponent across the map, or not be out there just to get hit, because doing either or, it just felt a bit indecisive from him.
Yeah, imagine that fight with 10, 15 more Marines. That maybe that's enough to turn the tide, because Stalkers did fall low. But Ben, it's a bigger map here. And in the upper right, in the blue for the super team, he's Trigger.
And spawning over in the bottom left, representing Alpha X, it is Future.
What color shorts is he wearing? Is it the red shorts?
It's the red shorts. For a moment there, I was like, you want to guess his shorts? I was like, oh man, it's getting to that time for me where my brain goes a bit doolally. Luckily, I've got this beautiful monster here with me to keep me awake into the evening. But yeah, so far, no proxy shenanigans from either player. Now, there weren't really before either until like a factory came down or whatever. I'm curious what Future falls back to here, because Trigger doesn't really need to change too much if he loses 9 probes doing that and he still wins, whereas Future, he needs to do something a little bit more well-jointed, I feel, this game.
I kind of just want to see Future go back to his practiced standard. He is one of those players that really rarely deviates from your 3-1-1 setup to that timing that has really just become a Terran staple. But he's pretty good at it. He hits his timings. He knows what he needs to do because he's done it a lot. There are a lot of Protoss in, what do you want to say, the tier 1.5, tier 2 scene in NA that Future runs into in your NA Apprentice Cups and your EPT Cups and things like that. So he's well practiced that one. It's not necessarily a weird build, but sometimes if you do the weird thing and it doesn't work out for you because you're just not sure of your transition, well, go back to the playbook, go back to Old Faithful, and maybe that's going to be what he needs.
Speaking of top tier NA Protosses, by the way, Nina, very often like a solid 4th pick kind of thing for the NA scene. Why isn't she in this season?
She's got surgery, and it actually happened yesterday. So, you know, Nina fans, make sure to tweet at her to tell her you hope it went well, I guess. But yeah, so she's probably helping Trigger prepare, as they are good friends. But hopefully we'll see her back next season.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hope it all went well, because yeah, she's actually awesome. When I felt that other players are here to overtake her, such as there was a point where Disc was doing really damn well on the European ladder, like 6.5k-ish, 6.4, 6.5. I was like, yeah, I think Disc is going to do it this time. And then Nina just slapped him down super hard 3-0. And I was like, holy crap, Like if we ever called Big Gabe the Gatekeeper, with regards to him being like the solid 4th place pick in Europe, I felt Nina was the exact same thing in North America, basically.
Absolutely. So here the Adept tries to find its way in, but Bunker is ready just in time. Hey, you know, benefits of Hardwire. You have a little bit more time to build those. But behind this Trigger, he's got his Twilight tech. He says, you know what? Even with losing 9 workers, I like the way that game happened. It worked out pretty well for him. So he's going to do that once again. And Future, hey, second barracks on the way. He's going to go for some level of bioaggression. And this one just seems a little bit more in his bailiwick.
Yeah, very possibly. It does kind of scare away this Adept for now. Adept takes a little bit of damage, but the Adept constantly sending its shades just to make sure nothing cheeky is going on, nothing pretty wild. Future definitely does his own builds, by the way. Like, this is another case of you're going 1-1 and then into second barracks, getting a Cyclone, then tanks as well. I like, this has to lead into dealing some damage at some point in time, but yeah, he's definitely got his own take and own twists on things.
And certainly that is a thing that we see from these North American Terrans, where they love their SCV pulls. They love their random 2-base all-ins. A lot of 1-1-1s, not exactly what I'm going to pull my SCVs, and it's going to be a good time. And I don't really like that all that much. It doesn't it seems like it loses more often than it wins, but hey, welcome to NA. Those are the builds that we see a decent amount. We're going to have to see whether Trigger is ready, though. We don't see a Robo down just yet. Maybe he goes for charge, but the question really is whether he scouts the shenanigans that Future has in store for us.
Yeah, it's a roughie. It's a toughie, because Future, he did scout with an SCV early on, but getting the Cyclone out, the Cyclone's like, oh, if you make an Oracle, then it's okay for me. But if your opponent just sits back and takes 3 bases, which Trigger's doing, and you're hoping to do some kind of attack here where you get late medevacs out and what have you, which it seems very much a I'm not going to die to anything build, but do I really live against anything either? I'm a bit worried for Future here. This shows me that he's not super confident in this matchup, very possibly, because as soon as you start trying to do your own thing, it's very hit or miss. You have to know exactly what your opponent's doing before the game even starts for this kind of stuff to work out, I feel.
Well, Ben, our end result, as things happen, a nice scan there, Observer will go down. Our end result from Future here is pretty similar to what we saw Ryung doing when he bopped literally every Protoss at Katowice. You know, you get that 6-minute stim, you run across the map, but it's not quite timed out quite as well, it doesn't feel like. Stopping for those tanks means you have less Marauders, your medevacs are a little bit later, things like that.
That is true with the Ryung thing, and you know, I really like Ryung. Not his comeback, so to speak, even though he's been back for a while. His Katowice run was super cool, and he started beating a lot of really good Protosses after that as well, with just very clinical, smart play. It wasn't fast and flashy, it was just smart, well thought out. And his build that he was doing against Protoss pretty much every game was like not a 2-1-1, so to speak, but it kind of went about it that way, where he got good vision, expanded, took it smartly, but then got medevacs out, and it's what he did with his medevacs that was a really smart play. Like this push here, Trigger sees everything, and is it scary? Yes, but as long as you get some AoE out, like there's going to be maybe a second Colossus popping up by the time it finishes. Charge is finishing up too, which is great against tanks. It's just, it's an all or nothing kind of situation for Future, and he's put himself in that.
That he has. Now, the one benefit of this style of push, and not exactly a lot of benefit if Trigger is prepared for it, you do get your third base a little bit faster. So you are able, as long as you get some amount of damage, to move into the mid game, as a Stalker will go down, but Trigger blinks out now. But Ben, you said it, the question is whether this does at least game-defining damage from Future. There's already one class here, nothing to disable them. Charge left getting on top. Those force fields, Ben, are freaking incredible. And nice pickup, though, on the Marines. We'll save a lot of them. But that's what, about half this army already gone, already in the grave before we start in earnest?
I'm almost sad that this tank count isn't growing. Like, it's just stayed at 2, which was nice for safety, but they were doing damn good, making those force fields almost work against Trigger there. Like, the resources lost tab, actually not that bad for Future. The thing is, Future's army doesn't exactly get 10 times better from here, whereas Trigger's, every Colossus that's added, every extra Zealot is just absolute value. But this fight, away from shield batteries and stuff, this isn't exactly the best for Trigger, it's got to be said.
That's not the best one, but realistically, Ben, it doesn't have to be the best one. It just has to be good enough because Trigger, he's milking that supply. He's milking the fact that he is up decently in economy. His third base is done. But now that the tanks are here, he's going to lose a pylon, not supply blocking him, but a little bit lost vision in the main base. And he's not really taking the best fight. We need to see Zealots on the flank from beside. But he says, oh, let me just run on in, eat some Winter Mine shots. That's going to be fine. But he still can't dislodge this position. Man, I'm with you. Imagine this push was 2 more tanks by now.
Yeah, for real. Like, that army's completely red. And that's just from tank shots. Oh boy, Trigger's getting caught out a little bit here. He gets to catch some of the reinforcements. Oh no, that Colossus might go down to the single Viking there on the way to this base. This is getting a little bit spicy, man.
This is spicy. It's a nice, some thousand number of the Scoville scale, whatever actually spicy is. I don't know, but the drop picks up. It gets a pylon, depowers some things. I can't help but feel like it could have gotten more, but certainly it pins Trigger back a little bit, does not allow him to be active on the map like he would have liked. And Ben, that's still 3 medevacs sitting behind the main base. Trigger is going to have to respect that, and he cannot bring his entire army together.
No, he cannot. And Trigger, he's looking, even though things went kind of not so bad for him at the start of this game compared to the last one, it's a much better situation for Future here. Like, Future, back at home, he's on... Actually, he's got an improved work account over his Protoss opponent, which doesn't normally happen. He's got the upgrades both finished as well. And he's already knows what he's up against. So this time, he's working with a lot of things going his favor here.
I am somewhat surprised that we're seeing actually Immortals go down, not moving on to that Disruptor tech, because Ben is a Terran player. I'm sure you'll tell me Disruptors are literally disgusting and unfair, at least if we're going to listen to Hero Marine. But instead, it's going to be Immortals to try to deal with that Marauder counter drop happening once again. It's only 2 Stalkers, but it's going to get one of the medevacs anyways. And Trigger will be able to respond to this push into the third with the rest of his army. A nice idea there from Future, maybe trying to catch Trigger off guard, but really no value.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of opens up Trigger a little bit is the fact that he was so good about plonking down a 4th base immediately. And he's done it in kind of like the more forward location, if you will. But it kind of saves him from getting in this weird position where your opponent can kind of use your own triangle formation against you, if you will, if you've got that base layout. But Future has to be careful here because he doesn't know that Trigger's on the other side of those rocks. And look at that. Trigger just pounced on top of his opponent.
Decent Widow Mines to start, so a lot of these Zealots will go down. EMPs blanket the Archons, so Archons are just about worse than useless, and now it is Trigger. He's trying to blink Micro against all of this bio, but his blink is going to be absolutely fantastic, dealing with the push into the natural as well. Trigger's cleaning up on both sides of the map, and that is not happy for Future, because as you said, he had a good spot. He had a good, at least, tempo in this game, but the rocks, well, Dustin Bratter would be proud.
Certainly would, certainly would. Like that one single Marauder there getting 2 probes, that was maybe the most value for money that Future got out of that whole situation. And that supply lead that he once had, completely gone. Future scans where the normal 4th is, and he's like, wait, it's not there? Did he get to see the other one? He does see where the other one is. So at least he knows that his opponent's just on 4 bases. And Trigger, he's using this time to just walk across the map. And I think this might catch Future totally off guard.
Yeah, he's up 20 army supply. He has those, I believe, 2 Colossus. Yeah, he's 2 Colossus in the army. Not a lot to really deal with them. And now we do see Disruptors getting added on in. At the very least, they'll deal with the Widow Mines. And Trigger now, oh, he could have blinked back, but he will eat a shot. The thing that's worrying is this is just a 30 army supply lead. There does not feel like there's really much of anything here for the Terran. Yeah, Marauders are nice, but the Zealots get on top of them. Ben, is there anything that Future can do to hold this?
Absolutely not. I mean, not with that little smidge of an army. If he was Maru, maybe then, but he's getting out a lot of the right units here with the Marauders, the Vikings, and what have you. The Widow Mines aren't achieving that much, but oh, it's rough, man. Like, he's now against a far superior army. He's got a massive gas bank that he can't use because he's Terran. And yeah, these ghosts, the EMPs are good and stuff, but look at Trigger's production tab. He's getting to the next stage, and he's already winning in this one.
Hear me out, Ben. He just needs to get like 5 nukes. That's how he's going to spend his gas, and that's how he's going to win this game. Very clearly, that's how PvT works. But now it looks like Trigger's kind of sectioned himself away from the army stream. He's going to try to get on top of this planetary before it does complete the bio. Trying to get on top of these Colossus, and they're low, but they're not dead yet. Oh, the pickup micro as well. The Vikings will not knock these down, and that's going to do it, folks. Trigger, he takes the clean 2-0.